Hey, what's up, everyone? This is the Next Date Podcast, episode 77 with Mikel, and
And Tanyka.
where we have conversations on different topics. So, um, today we'll be talking about uh
Three
some stuff.
topic.
Three
Three topic
topics?
episode. Yep.
Oh, okay, three topics episode. Uh, Tanyka will have those three topics for you guys.
Yep.
Would you like to, ex, you know, tell
Tell
the
the
people?
people.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about a lawyer couple that is accused of stealing millions of dollars.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the earliest biological signals of autism. And we're going to be talking about a mother lying about her children having indigenous status.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Let's
Hmm.
let's
All right.
get to the
So the
episode.
episode. Okay. So a husband and wife law firm in Toronto has been shut down.
Mhm.
Lenders have moved to seize their family homes, and they're facing 15 lawsuits and a police investigation after millions of dollars in client money went missing from the firm's trust accounts. The saga of Nicholas Cartel and his wife, I think it's Singa Bowie, has plenty of twists and turns, not the least of which is what happened to the huge sums of money allegedly embezzled from Cartel and Bowie LLP. But it also reveals a part of the home buying process that's vulnerable to financial manipulation, but isn't closely scrutinized, and the inaccuracy of the compensation for home buyers or sellers who do fall victim. Hmm.
Mhm.
So I think they must be a real estate firm. Um,
Okay.
in interviews and again during a court hearing on, this probably would have been back in, I think, June or July, Cartel asserted he never had a role in financially managing the firm that bears his name, which is probably not a crazy thing to
Mm.
say. Never had access to the trust account and maintained a separate non-real estate practice. His wife, he said, handled all of that, so he's just throwing her firmly under that bus. Neither of them has filed any statements of defense in the lawsuits against them. One of the plaintiffs, Anthony Inagra, a Toronto area mortgage agent whose family says it lost more than $310,000 in their dealings with Cartel and Bowie, said the experience has shaken him, saying, quote, "I'm almost afraid now to make another real estate transaction. The general public needs to know that their money isn't safe in a lawyer's trust account."
Right.
Now that sounds true. 9
Mm.
times out of 10, your money is safe in a trust account. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
It is. Yeah.
there's rules we have to follow. We
Hmm.
can't use your money for anything besides your file. And if your file closes before, trust monies are used, we have to send that back to you. That's the LSO rules. We have to.
Yeah. So you seen this and experienced this
Uh-huh.
over on your side of the
Maybe a little differently than this, then yes. But yeah,
okay.
maybe
Okay.
a little differently than
Right.
but all law firms have trust accounts for any reason
Mm.
that they would need to have a trust account.
Mm.
In my case, we have a trust account for paying your your accounts. 9 times out of 10, maybe in other situations we might need to use the trust money, but 9 times out of 10 it's used, at least in our files that we do, is used for paying accounts.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so that way we don't have to go to you every time to say pay your account. You give us a lump sum, we pay it
Mm.
out of that,
Uh-huh.
and yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
Continue. Continue.
Yep. So, Inagra estimates that between his own property investing, his mortgage clients, his friends, and his family. Cartel and Bowie LLP handled hundreds of transactions involving him over the years, all without a hitch.
Mm.
Um, well, I'm sure. Okay, CBC News spoke with other real estate agents and home buyers who said their past dealings with the firm were totally fine. One person saying, I think this quote is from Justice William Chalmers. So Justice William Chalmers said, "How can you not know when you're living with her and you've got a home together and you've got children together where $6 million went?" It's exactly like, come on, come on, you're very much involved as well. But
Right,
anyways,
right.
but something changed early last year. First, business clients who'd sold some assets had to wait a month just to get their proceeds out of Cartel and Bowie's trust account.
Mhm,
Then, a family selling a house in Toronto said it took 2 months to get most of the money, and they still haven't recovered all of it. Both cases triggered complaints to the Law Society of Ontario about the firm, but the Law Society's investigators didn't take a close look at the books right away.
mm,
The money began to go missing. Starting in September, in half a dozen Southern Ontario home sales from Milton to Cobourg, handled by Cartel and Bowie, the law firm didn't pay off the sellers' mortgages as it was supposed to do, according to lawsuits by 7 homebuyers. It took the buyer's money, paid out the home equity to its client sellers, but held on to the rest, the buyers allege. In another case, two of the firm's clients bought Theory Cohen Scally's house in Toronto, and the firm held back $465,000 against potential capital gains taxes,
right.
as it was required to do because Cohen Scally lives abroad.
Mm,
Mm. But the engineer who lives in Florida said he obtained the necessary clearances from the Canada Revenue Agency in January and still hasn't been reimbursed his nearly $500,000 as Singapore was legally bound to do,
mhm,
saying, quote, "We have an undertaking from a lawyer. We've got money in her trust account, the trust account, right?" Cohen Scally said, "If you have an undertaking from a lawyer and you can't trust them, then what happens? The way I understand it is that the undertakings between lawyers is the foundation of the system." A couple of decades ago, the typical process for closing a home sale in Ontario involved the buyer providing two certified checks. One made out to the seller's bank for the remaining mortgage amount on the home, and another to the seller for the balance of the purchase price. That way, only the company holding the mortgage on a home could cash the first check and get that money.
mm,
Mm. Nowadays, buyer's lawyers usually just wire the money, relying on the promise of the seller's lawyer to pay off the mortgage from those funds.
mhm,
This introduces a risk that a rogue solicitor on either end of the deal might simply pinch the funds, saying, quote, "Wire transfer has become a norm." Very true. And that is very risky because, in spite of the fact that the lawyers are giving undertakings, it may or may not happen, said Balvindir Kumar, a veteran real estate lawyer in Mississauga, Ontario.
So,
And go ahead.
you feel like do you feel like wire transfer is risky or
Um, I guess it depends. Because again, I'm not working on that side of things. Like when you get the wire transfer,
Right.
I'm that's the accountant's jobs. So
Mhm,
I am not involved in that.
mm,
But, my job is just, like, when the wire comes in and the accountants are like, "We got this in our trust account. Someone
mm,
claim it and say what file number it's for," and then that's all I do. Um, but again, that's in a litigation law firm, so it's very different. But we have dealt with 'cause where I used to work,
mhm,
this is the kind of thing we did. We did the well, some of us did anyways.
mm,
We did, like, the residential purchases, the commercial real purchases as well. What I did was I was the one who was going to the banks and having those monies dealt with. So that's what I did. I didn't
right.
actually deal with the ins and outs of that, but I was
Mhm,
the one that was, like, told, "Okay, we have to go to this bank or that bank or whatever to deal
right.
with the closing." And that's what the terminology is, closing.
Mhm,
So,
mhm,
um, whether or not wire transferring is riskier
mhm,
than something else, I don't know. I would
mhm.
feel like a certified check is riskier
Right.
or a money draft, only because, like, once you certify a check,
Mhm,
it's cash. It's easy for anyone to get their hands on a certified check and cash it.
mhm, mhm.
So I feel like that's riskier than doing a wire transfer.
So you guys don't I know it's like not a lot of companies do this, like, you don't e-transfer?
Um, Not
No?
every firm has the capabilities to do that.
Mhm, mhm.
I have been at firms that, yes, do that. My
Okay.
current firm does not.
Right.
We
You
do
yeah,
everything else,
like,
but we
old
don't do
school.
that.
Okay.
Not so much old school, it's
Mhm.
just I think there are parameters around e-transferring
Mm.
that not maybe every firm wants to deal with. And, like,
Right.
there has to be, like, a point person who's handling those e-transfers.
Mm.
So, it's just something I guess I just don't really wanna be a part of. Um, Maybe the reason we had e-transfers at my last firm was because it's real estate and you are dealing with residential properties as well.
Mhm.
Maybe that's why, but that's just not something we do at my place. We checks or wire transfers, or you could do direct deposit to
Mhm.
the general or the trust account, like, we can do stuff like that, but e-transfers, no.
Mm. Okay.
It'd be nice to
Yeah,
make it
it's a lot
easier, but
yeah,
no.
easier and but yeah, because like,
It's
I
easier on the
know
client.
yeah, because I know,
Yeah.
like, basically wire transfers, basically, it takes a lot longer, like, I think it's like
It
3
actually
5 3 5 business days?
I don't know, 'cause I've not been on that side.
Yeah.
Um, I think it just depends on where it's coming from, like, usually when we've done wires, or gotten wires, it seems to take maybe a day or 2.
Right.
Um, but there's also a charge to do that.
Mm.
I think it's $25 charge to do wire transfers
Right.
that we either you have to prepare for and pay extra, or it comes out of the amount that you are owing to us, but it's
Right.
25 bucks, so
Okay.
it's not a big deal. But, yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Alright. I just wanted to ask that. Go ahead. Do your thing.
Uh, so in all, CBC News found 15 lawsuits against Cartel Buoy or their firm, so them as individuals and then their firm collectively, claiming a total of $15.5 million over problems to do with real estate. In most of them, the plaintiffs allege they were defrauded and their money embezzled, but the cases who include a lender trying to seize the couple's $4.5 million house in Midtown Toronto for failure to pay the mortgage.
Right.
Another home in Cartel's name was seized and sold off in April. On April 26th, the Law Society of Ontario suspended both of the firm's partners on an interim basis while it continues to investigate where the money from the firm's trust account went. CBC News has obtained a court and Law Society documents suggesting their client's cash was used to pay the couple's own mortgages, so like their personal mortgage, credit card bills, and business taxes. The records show Cartel requested a judge authorize living expenses, including mortgage payments of $30,655 a month, and the judge called the couple's lifestyle fairly extravagant.
Mm.
I mean, that's a lot of money for a mortgage. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is. A lot of money.
Um, Bowie appeared to shoulder the blame for the missing money, at least initially. In a letter to the Law Society of Ontario, dated December 1st, 2023, a lawyer on her behalf said that Bowie was, quote, compelled to advise the Law Society of the improper transfer of trust funds held in trust by Cartel and Bowie LLP.
Mhm.
Miss Bowie advises that her partner, Nicholas Gartel, is not responsible for the improper transferring of trust funds, nor is any other associate or employee of the firm.
Right.
But according to the Law Society's decision to provisionally suspend him, Cartel, quote, appears to have misled another lawyer who was trying to track down money on behalf of a client, did not take reasonable steps to investigate when faced with evidence his firm's finances were awry, and failed to deliver bank account statements demanded by the Law Society auditor. In a statement to CBC News on, well, I don't know what that one was, but Cartel said he is, quote, actively cooperating with all parties and oversight authorities and an auditor to ensure a comprehensive review of any incomplete transactions and accounting issues. Um, so, in a court hearing, the lawyer for a home buyer suing him made the opposite case. That Cartel and Bowie should both be held in civil contempt for failing to hand over records or answer key questions. When Cartel argued he shouldn't be found in civil contempt because his wife handled all of their business and family finances, the judge pointedly summed up the matter, saying, quote, $6 million, well, I kind of read this before, $6 million goes missing, goes into her account. Did she pay for nice gifts for you? Did you buy a car that she paid for? Did she pay mortgage payments? How can you not know when you're living with her and you've got a home together and you've got children together where $6 million went? For many of Cartel and Bowie's clients and other people who've had to deal with them, the Law Society suspensions in April came too late. Despite the complaints of financial irregularities at the firm going back to April 2023, a Law Society investigator only took steps to audit its bank accounts in late November. During that 7-month span, at least 10 people retained the firm for real estate transactions and transferred money to it. Millions of dollars of that money went missing, according to the various lawsuits. Cartel repeated in court that Bowie had been hospitalized for most of the last few months. And doesn't that make it look worse on you then if you say she's been hospitalized? I'm confused.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. Yeah.
Because then it shows that either A, you're the one who's doing it,
Yeah.
or B, you're doing it because she was hospitalized and you have hefty medical bills.
Yeah.
So this doesn't help your case. When CBC reached him by phone, he said 15 times during the conversation that a focus for him right now is to, quote, make whole the people who have lost money, and he committed to using personal funds to do so if necessary. It's a promise he's been making since at least December, probably 2023, according to court and law society records, with little evidence he's followed through. He's also appealing his interim license suspension and maintained he's in discussion with the Law Society of Ontario about resolving his case so he can go back to work as a lawyer, albeit with some restrictions. At a previous court hearing to do with the lawsuits against him, an LSO, that's Law Society of Ontario, representative said flatly that that's not true, that he's actually not in conversation with them. Yeah, the Law Society's no joke. Like, you can't mess with them. And when you up, like, oh well. Like, it's not easy. And once your
Yeah.
license has been suspended for reasons like this, it's not like your license is being suspended temporarily because you didn't complete CPD hours, which is something lawyers have to do every year. Um,
That's crazy.
it's not coming back very easily,
Yeah.
if at all.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's that.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next topic. So, some people with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, experience milder symptoms, but others with some profound cases face significant challenges with social language and cognitive skills. Sometimes lifelong supportive care is needed. A new study of mini brains developed in the lab gives crucial insights into the biological foundations behind this puzzling disparity in autism, which could help us better understand and manage the diverse neurological condition. Saying, quote, the differences in the embryonic, embryonic origins of these two subtypes of autism urgently need to be understood, says neuroscientist Eric, oh, that's a name, Core Chisney, I think, from the
Mm,
University of California in San Diego, saying, quote, that understanding can only come from studies like ours, which reveals the underlying neurobiological causes of their social challenges and when they begin. This research, carried out by an international team of scientists, involved the use of induced, oh Lord, pluripotent stem cells. Okay, I did it, which can be reprogrammed into any kind of cell, safely taken from the blood of 10 toddlers with autism and 6 controls without the condition. These iPSCs, so that's the induced pluripotent stem cells, were grown into brain cortical. It's science, y'all, so you're gonna bear with me.
yeah, it's okay.
Organoids, or BCOs, which are simplified 3D models of brain structures. Scientists use their organoids to study what's going on in the body in place of live organs, which obviously can't be removed.
Mm,
The crucial finding of the study was that the mini brains using iPSCs from autistic kids grew to be around 40% larger compared with the neurotypical controls. In addition, larger sizes and faster growth in the BCOs were associated with more severe types of autism, offering insight into how autism develops in the very early stages of brain formation. Saying, quote, we found the larger the embryonic BCO size, the more severe the child's later autism social symptoms, says the scientist that I mentioned earlier, because I can't say his name. Quote, toddlers who had profound autism, which is the most severe type of autism, had the largest BCO overgrowth during embryonic development. Those with mild autism social symptoms had only mild overgrowth. The researchers found that overgrowth in the BCOs also matched overgrowth in the social parts of the brain of the children with more severe autism who showed less of a response to social stimulation. Quote, notably, these toddlers with profound autism and enlarged BCOs had substantially enlarged primary auditory and somatosensory cortices, I
mm,
think. I guess that's the sensory stuff. Um, because again, people with autism usually also have sensory issues as well.
right, right.
Um, so that was written in the researchers in their published paper, quote, a finding that highlights and helps explain sensory and social attention issues. Along with the many complex factors that contribute to autism, some form of overstimulation in brain growth may be involved, even at the embryonic stage, and researchers can now investigate this further. Our understanding of autism and how it affects the estimated 1% of the population with it, both positively and negatively, has improved massively in the recent years. And research brings us closer to figuring out how it begins. Quote, by genesis, the biological basis of two subtypes of ASD, social and brain development, profound autism and mild autism, are already present and measurable. So I do wonder what they mean by profound and mild. Is
Mm,
that the spectrum? Is that is it like when you're on the low side of the spectrum or you're more moderate or severe, like what does that I'm curious what that means.
huh,
Maybe that's just hard to say because again,
yeah,
maybe it is just simply autism is a spectrum. So maybe someone on either side or in the middle or whatever could be either or. So I'm just
yeah.
curious about that.
Yeah, me too. I'm very curious about that as well. I try not to like, touch that subject because like it's a bit touchy on that. But yeah,
I
I'm
have
curious.
no issues
Yeah.
because like I've mentioned my
Yeah.
at least I've mentioned on my own podcast, so my
Mhm.
other podcast that my brother is autistic, so
Yeah.
I have no issues talking about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm coming from a place so that I at least understand in terms of
Yeah.
his autism. So it's
Yeah.
I yeah, so And
Yeah.
I think it is important because I am finding
No, 100%.
yeah, no, I'm just saying I think it's important to make sure we do talk about it because I think,
Mhm,
um, I mean, autism has been a thing for many, 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 many years, but I think it's just something that hasn't been discussed
mhm.
as
Yeah.
much prior to maybe the last 10-ish years. Um, and I feel like it's like you're hearing more and more that people are or children are being diagnosed with autism.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's so important because I feel like if you yourself don't have children that are autistic, you know someone who does,
Mhm.
right?
And I think that's good that you're doing that because on your podcast, because 'cause you're also bringing awareness to other people that, do have
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah,
So,
and that's what's because I think that's
yeah.
also what's good too is that the reason it's been brought up is because I again, my other podcast, I talk reality television,
Mhm.
and it has come up. There's, people who are in that world and know, like, 90 Day Fiancé, for example, Statler's autistic. We had Cleo who's autistic. We've had
Mhm,
many
mhm.
people who have been autistic. I mean, even Statler, again, not just autistic, but
Right.
ADHD, and with that comes anxiety. And so that's why I am open with it because I'm like, I see similarities with my
Mm,
brother and them. So it's that's kind of why. And I think it's just important to kind of be like, no one person deals with the same thing and no one person shows or presents themselves who are autistic the same way. It's
mhm.
everyone's different. Everyone deals with different things. So that's its life. That's its life. But I think it is important to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Um. So future larger sample BCO studies will undoubtedly reveal still other subtypes. The
Mhm,
research has been published in the molecule Autism. If you are interested to learn more,
mhm.
but
Okay.
that is it for that one.
Mhm.
Now for the last topic, and this one is
Oh,
a little
it
upsetting.
wait a second. It's
Hmm.
not the lot. We have a bonus one, but
Oh, we
yeah.
do.
Yeah,
Okay, we have a bonus one.
that's yeah, go ahead.
So the second last one, and yes, this one's a little more irritating, I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
So Noah says that he has no positive memories of Kramira Manji, the woman who used his mother, Kitty Noah, to obtain Inuit identities for her twin daughters so she could gain access to funds only available to Inuit beneficiaries.
Mm,
Quote, she was really awful, Noah said of Manji during a CBC News interview in 2023 at his, I think you say that as Iqaluit home. Sorry if I said that wrong.
that's okay.
Um, Noah grew up in Iqaluit and was 11 when he said his siblings first encountered Banji in the 1990s. That's when his father, Harry Hughes, met Manji in Iqaluit, and the two began dating. At around the same time, Hughes was diagnosed with leukemia. Noah says it was a difficult period for him and his six siblings, made worse by his feelings that Manji didn't really like them. Quote, I mean, at one point, I remember her saying that we all belonged in a sewer. Wow,
Uh,
that's horrible.
yeah.
Um, During his father's relationship with Manji, they all moved to Ontario. The couple never lived together and broke up shortly after the move. Hughes died in 1997, but his relationship with Manji was only the beginning of her involvement in the lives of the Noah family. Earlier this year, she admitted to defrauding Inuit organizations of more than $158,000 for her twin daughter's education by saying they were born to Kitty Noah, who was in Inuk. That's how, yeah, Inuk. And that
Mhm.
Manji was their adoptive mother.
Mm,
Noah says his mother, who died last year, didn't
mm,
have an easy life. She survived 2 bouts of lung cancer, as well as being hit by a car, God, which he says
mm,
left her with a brain injury. When he told his mother about Manji's claims that she was the twins' birth mother, quote, she was just as flabbergasted as he was because she probably didn't have these children because they're not her kids.
Mm.
Um, Manji's deception ended when she pleaded guilty in February. On Monday, or the following Monday, she was reprimanded in custody in an Iqaluit courtroom and is now awaiting sentencing. While that would normally be the end of a case like this, much remains unsolved when it comes to Manji, including how the organizations she defrauded might try to recoup their losses. Legal documents obtained by CBC News that revealed a contentious divorce and disputes about properties worth millions have been reviewed by an expert who suggests Manji still seems to be trying to maintain control of her numerous real estate assets, even as she faces sentencing for her crimes.
Mm.
Um, as first reported, um, I think this last, so reported last year by Equilet Outlet. Oh God, I don't know if I can say this word.
It's okay.
No. We'll just call it Nana because I don't think I could do it.
Okay.
Manji applied for Inuit status in 2016 on behalf of her twin daughters, Nadia and Amira Gill, then in their teens. On the enrollment forms that she submitted to Nunavut, Tungavik Inc., NTI, the organization that maintains the Inuit enrollment list under the Nunavut Land Claims Agreement, Manji identified Kitty Noah as the girl's birth mother and
Mm.
stated that she was their adoptive mother, as mentioned before.
Mhm.
Those applications were approved, granting the twins Inuit status and giving them access to organizations like Kavlikak Association, which
Mhm.
offers scholarships and business opportunities meant for Inuit.
Mhm.
But in actuality, Manji was Nadia and Amira's birth mother, and their father was her husband, Gurmail Gill. The couple also had an older son, Liam, so I guess he didn't get the fraud as well. I don't know.
Mhm.
NTI investigated concerns that the girls weren't who they claimed to be and removed them from the enrollment list in April of 2023. Like, were they
Wow.
involved? Like, did they know that she did
Mm.
this?
It
Because
sounds like they did, but at the same time, hmm,
because
intriguing.
shouldn't they potentially be facing time as well? Because like I feel like they knew.
How
And,
many time like, how much time do you think they should be faced? Do you would you
I would say less than their mother.
Mhm. Okay.
But they should have some even if it's not necessarily
Right.
prison time,
Right, right.
like maybe they need to go on probation or
Mhm.
something.
Right, right.
I don't know.
You think they should do, like, community service or,
Maybe,
they should
yeah,
do something
community
about
service, maybe
yeah.
fines.
Right.
Maybe that's a way these organizations can recoup their money is there
Right.
maybe needs to be some sort of restitution.
Mhm.
Um, and maybe that needs to fall on all three of them. So,
Mm.
yeah, maybe something like that.
Okay.
Um, in September 2023, Equilet RCMP here we go, charged the
Mhm.
girls and their mother with 2 counts each of fraud over $5,000. But the charges against, oh God, so the charges against Nadia and Amira, who are now 25, were dropped in February when Manji pleaded guilty to 1 count of fraud over $5,000. I don't even understand that. Like, I don't, I'm sorry.
Wow. That's like
Um,
that's
Go
like
ahead.
a slap on the wrist, isn't it? 5,000?
100%. Well,
Mm.
no. It's fraud over $5,000. So there's
Oh,
probably yeah, so that's
I'm looking
probably the amount in terms of the
okay.
charge, and it's like
Okay.
under 5,000 or over
Oh,
5,000. So
you're right.
yeah,
I was thinking under $5,000 because that's a slapper, but the over is basically
over. Yeah, because
the like
it was
yeah.
$158,000 between the
Right.
two. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But guess what, y'all? This is not the first time that she has committed fraud, Manji.
Really?
Really, we're gonna go through it. So the
Okay.
first fraud In the 1980s, Manji began working as a consultant for the March of Dimes nonprofit housing corporation, which provides shelter for people with physical disabilities across Ontario. In 2003, she took on a full-time role there as a property manager. She was terminated for fraud in 2013 after an internal investigation found she had embezzled hundreds of thousands of dollars from the nonprofit, according to a 2014 statement of claim filed by MODC, which is the corporation,
Mhm.
and at the Ontario Superior Court of Justice.
Mhm, mhm,
Bank statements submitted as evidence by MODC in their civil case show that from 2005 to 2013, Manji funneled thousands of dollars intended for March of Dimes into a bank account she created and controlled under the name of the nonprofit.
mm.
In 2015, Manji was criminally charged for defrauding MODC of $800,000.
Wow.
Mhm. She
That's
pleaded
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
She pleaded guilty to one count of fraud over $5,000 again and received a conditional sentence of 2 years less a day, followed by a 1-year probation order.
Mm,
Following the legal turmoil of her conviction, Manji filed for divorce in 2022. In her divorce application, she claimed she'd paid back $650,000 to MODC in addition to the property, such as high-end appliances and furnishings that were seized from their home.
hmm,
In an affidavit related to the divorce proceedings filed on July 4th, 2022, Manji appeared apologetic, writing, quote, "I am deeply sorry for my inexcusably poor judgment."
mm,
So the
mhm,
divorce, which I think is part of the fraud.
mm,
Court filings related to the divorce show Manji and Gil were married for 26 years before separating in 2021. In an application for spousal support dated July 4th, 2022, Manji said she wasn't able to get a job and could only work as a handywoman, but that due to knee issues, the physical aspects of that work were difficult. She claimed that she made less than $49,000 a year. Equalite civil court lawyer Anne Crawford, who's practiced in Nunavut for 35 years, reviewed the legal documents for CBC News and says this shows Manji claims to have no way of making an income. Saying, quote, she can't get a job and she can't do any work, so there's nothing she can do, she said. Court documents dated July 21st, 2022 show Gill was ordered to pay Manji $10,630 a month in temporary spousal support.
mm.
But for a woman who claimed to be making so little money, Crawford noted that Manji, quote, has a lot of assets. So we're going to talk about her properties. So those assets included 3 rental properties in the Greater Toronto Area, a 2-unit home at 102 Bearsford Beresford Avenue, a condo unit at 250 Scarlett Road, and a 5-bedroom house at 327 Kipling Avenue being rented out to 5 students.
Mm,
According to Manji's financial statements, the properties were valued at a total of around $3 million and none had any mortgages. Despite this, in her applications for spousal support, she played down their appeal, saying, quote, "These rental properties are not high end," she wrote, noting that they were in modest neighborhoods and that one needed significant repairs. Based on the net rental income she claimed to be making from each property in 2021, they would have earned around $30,000 a year.
mm,
In his amended response, Gill suggested the properties would have earned a gross annual income of $109,000 and disputed that much smaller net income Manji claimed they brought in.
wow.
He also disputed Manji's claim that they had agreed the properties would be held in trust for the children, saying no such trust agreement existed.
Mm,
He said that throughout their relationship, and increasingly after her guilty plea, Manji pleaded with him to transfer family assets into their children's names, something he said he steadfastly refused to do. So just to make that makes sense for people who maybe don't know why she'd want to do that, or maybe you know why she'd want to do that.
Right.
Legally, if she has no assets in her name, she can't claim that she has like any income coming in or anything like that.
Right.
People do this in lawsuits as well.
Yeah.
If you sue somebody, you transfer all of your assets to your partner or whatever.
Mhm.
It shows that you have no collateral.
Interesting. Can't they see that? Can they see? Can they
100%.
take take the take that from your partner as well?
Yeah, but
Um,
then you'd have to sue them.
right. Okay.
Yeah, you'd have
Interesting.
to sue them. You can amend the claim and say, we want to bring them in too, but um, I don't think it's as easy as it seems.
Mm,
Um, especially if like it's not them you're after or whatever. Like, yeah. So yeah, it's not as easy as it
right.
seems, but that's what people do.
Yeah. I heard of people do that, but I figure you would still get in some type of like real trouble if you
Oh,
do that,
you
right?
could, but it's not, especially civilly speaking, it's
Right.
not an easy thing to necessarily get someone in trouble. What
Hmm.
you could do is you could probably
It's
file a writ on them,
mhm,
which basically could pose issues if they want to buy a home, get a
mhm,
mortgage, stuff like
mhm,
that, because you have this writ on your name.
mhm. Yeah.
So that
So,
can happen. But like
mhm,
even like OJ Simpson, for example. I don't know a whole lot about his actual case that landed him in prison for 9 years, but he with his criminal charge of him, killing his wife. Yes, I said it, come at me. Killing his wife and well, not even his friend, but his acquaintance, but
mhm, mhm,
um he, I think, transferred a lot of his assets away, or not necessarily to anyone in his family, but just transferred them out or sold them or whatever. So when he got arrested in Las Vegas was because he was being accused of stealing back, quote unquote, his memorabilia. So it was technically things that belonged to him at one time or another, but technically he sold them.
mhm,
So that's why he got arrested. So that's what people do. For whatever
mm,
reason, what people do. And that's what he did because he needed the money, I guess. I don't know. I don't really care. But like that's what happens. And really truly he got poetic justice, arrested for stealing like what was his technically memorabilia.
mhm,
Like
mm.
his, like it belonged to him.
Wow.
So anyways, enough about OJ. We don't talk about him right now. Gil is now asking for an equal share of their estate, which includes the three rental properties, because yes, if she obtained these properties while they were married and they don't have a prenuptial agreement, honey, that's his properties too. Those are his properties too. And he gets half. So that's how that works.
Mhm,
The divorce trial is set to take place in 2025, so maybe we'll get an update. I don't know. To Crawford, a transfer of significant assets to children or to a spouse puts Manji in a better position to plead poverty, as kind of what I was kind of saying before. She says having assets in trust or with relatives would mean they wouldn't belong to Manji and therefore wouldn't be questioned.
mhm,
She seems to be anxious to have assets within her circle, said Crawford, still within her control, but not in her name. In financial statements filed by Manji, she said Amira gave her $80,000 in 2017 for a deposit on one of their houses. She also said Nadia gave her $50,000 in 2019 as a deposit on their condo.
mm,
In his response, Gil said, quote, "It is impossible that the girls would have been able to accumulate these funds as they were students at the time.
mhm,
Hell, even now at 25, they wouldn't be able to really do that."
mhm,
Crawford says if she were the lawyer for NTI, she would take a look at the properties Banshee owns, saying, quote, hold on. I would chase down these houses and say, you can't profit from the money that your children here have given you because there's only one source of that money. But that for that reason, Crawford says the Inuit organizations Manji pleaded guilty to defrauding could try to get back the funds she took by going after profits from those properties. Exactly. Exactly. That's
Mm,
how that would have been a way for them to get their money back. But
right.
if the properties are not in her name anymore,
Uh,
then there's no way.
Right. Okay.
Which is why it's frustrating that potentially the properties could have been in their daughter's names. That's
Yeah.
frustrating that they didn't go after them.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is. It is frustrating.
So
I agree.
go ahead.
No, I agree that it would be frustrating. They didn't go after them. You know.
Yeah, or they
Yeah.
did and then they dropped the charges. Um,
It,
okay, so let's talk about the twins real quick.
yeah.
So during the pandemic, Amira and Nadia started Canada Trade Co., an online mask and clothing business featuring Indigenous artwork. You've got to be kidding. Their social media accounts featured their photos and noted that they were associated with none of it. Tungavik Inc. Again, you've got to be kidding me. By 2023, their media profile began to rise, and some people began to question their Inuit identities online.
Mm,
The sisters also got their Indigenous certification from the Canadian Council for Indigenous Business, CCIB, for their Canada Trade Co. venture. They promised profits from Canada would go to Indispire, an organization providing funding to Indigenous students because they themselves had benefited from um, Indispire's Building Brighter Futures program. I bet you did. Though Indispire wrote about the twins in glowing terms in its 2021 newsletter and noted that Canada had donated over $6,000, it said in a statement 2 years later that it had requested the return of all of the funds the twins had received. After NTI removed the twins from its enrollment list in April 2023, the CCIB revoked their certification. But the people who were prodding the Gill sisters to explain their Inuit ties weren't just worried they were pretending to be Indigenous to gain cred for their business. Um, when the girls began Inuit beneficiaries in 2016, they were issued enrollment cards with identification numbers that were then used to apply for scholarships and bursaries, which the girls received. The Gill sisters then received more than $158,000 from Kakivak Association between 2020 and 2023 for education-related expenses. A spokesperson for the Crown told CBC News that because Manji admitted in an agreed statement of facts related to her guilty plea that her daughters weren't aware she had fraudulently obtained their NTI cards, the Crown withdrew the charges. I don't buy that.
Right.
I don't.
Mm,
Um, that agreed statement of facts also revealed that Manji had attempted to gain Inuit status herself in 2018 by claiming in an NTI application that she was adopted by Inuit parents. That that's just not how it works, though. It's not about whether or not you've been adopted by Inuit parents, which I'm sure it happens. It's about the blood. It's whether or not you have Inuit blood.
yeah.
Anyways, NTI rejected that application. Yeah, I think both sisters attended Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, where Amira studied civil engineering and Nadia, who legally changed her name in September 2023, studied law. Oh, really? Ain't that something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're breaking it, but okay. Queen's University declined to comment on allegations about the Gill sisters, citing privacy concerns, but it did confirm that both sisters each received 2 degrees there. CBC News has requested numerous interviews with the Gill sisters, but has not received a response. Yeah, I wonder why.
Well, hey, maybe they wanted to live life on the wild side, so
You're right. Okay. Anita Cardinal, a member of the Woodland Cree First Nations practicing law in Edmonton, completed the Aboriginal Property Law program at the University of Saskatchewan's Native Law Center in 2019. One of her classmates was Nadia Gill. She says there were a lot of red flags raised about Nadia's ethnicity because she never shared information about her Inuit descent, such as which community she was associated with or who her Inuit family was. When it was revealed that the Gill twins were not of Inuit descent, Cardinal said nobody was shocked. Quote, it
Mm,
was like, yeah, we knew. Still, Cardinal said it was upsetting because the Aboriginal law program is supposed to be for Indigenous people. That spot we know could have went to an actual Indigenous person.
mm-hmm,
Noah, who we talked about earlier in the article, says he wants to see Manji pay back the scholarship money Kakivak gave to her daughters. Quote, certainly recoup the funds that this family has gotten that were earmarked for Inuit children.
mm,
Although Noah says he wishes the charges against the sisters hadn't been dropped, I agree with him. He's happy Manji pleaded guilty. Quote, it was very emotional. That was justice for, well, his mom, who she claimed was the girl's mom. NTI says it has since made changes to its enrollment system, and the group's president has said she hopes it sparks more discussion, about the issue of Indigenous identity fraud across Canada. And Noah agrees. And I agree.
mm-hmm.
Posing as an Indigenous person should be a crime in this country, 100%.
Yeah,
And
should be crime.
yeah, and that is it for me. What do you got?
Okay, yeah, it's a crazy story.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So I know you're not too much of a sports fan,
No,
Tanyka,
no.
but you know somebody else that is. So, uh,
You?
congratulations to yeah, that also me as well, and somebody else as well
Okay.
that's close to you.
Close to me. Okay.
Yeah, congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles for winning this.
Okay.
As well as this has some to be tied with you as well.
Okay.
You have a favorite artist.
Okay. Whom?
Record was broken.
Okay.
So Kendrick Lamar halftime show surpasses Michael Jackson 1993 performance,
Really?
breaking viewership records.
Wow.
Yeah,
Here's what I'll say.
yeah,
Um, about because I have watched Michael Jackson's performance.
yeah,
Obviously, I was 2 when he did it, but
yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
not my favorite performance.
Really?
Really, it's not my
What
favorite.
what was your favorite one?
See, that's hard. I really like Prince's performance.
Everybody.
Prince is incredible. His
Yeah,
performance was incredible.
yeah.
But even just to keep it more modern,
Hmm.
even just thinking about the amount of times I probably watched this performance,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, there was one I watched multiple times that I really liked. I think it was Rihanna. If not
Yeah,
Rihanna, it was when like you had Dr. Dre, Mary J.
yeah,
Blige, Kendrick Lamar.
yeah.
Um, that I watched constantly.
Yeah, I watched
I
that one.
loved that performance.
Yeah, that was nostalgia, I would say.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I think that Rihanna's performance was really good too, but I still
yeah,
probably watched um like the other one the most out of all of them.
yeah,
Um
yeah.
and
It,
Prince.
Prince
Incredible.
was Yeah, Prince was,
performance.
pretty good, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
just
and
incredible.
yeah, and
And yes,
then
I love Michael Jackson very much, but
yeah,
his for me was underwhelming. And I
yeah,
think the reason for me it's underwhelming is like I know Heal the World, it's a great song. Don't get me wrong, I love the song.
mhm,
But of all the songs where it's focused on his humanitarian efforts,
mhm,
that is not my favorite song.
mm,
I usually skip Heal the World because it's not one of my favorite ones. I like Man in the Mirror, Earth Song. I like those ones. I have nothing
yeah,
against those songs that he does
mhm,
that focuses on his humanitarian, especially his views on
yeah,
the earth and, doing good on the earth.
right, right,
Heal the World isn't it for me.
mm,
So I think that's
interesting,
partly why
mhm.
it's underwhelming for me because I just didn't like the heavy focus on Heal the World.
So, what how many songs did he do on his, performance before we get to back to Kendrick?
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, he did,
Well,
like, 3 songs? 3 or 4?
I
Or
think it was like 3 or 4. It wasn't very many.
okay.
Because you're only slated to have like
Yeah, for that,
roughly 15 minutes, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, so
yeah,
yeah.
okay. Okay, yeah. So Kendrick Lamar's viewers number of views was like 133 million point five
Well,
versus Michael Jackson was around the same, but it was point
that was
four.
oh wow, like that
Yeah,
close.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
and at the time, Michael Jackson didn't have internet or anything like that. Like it was crazy in
Well, we
1993.
had internet, but internet
It
was
wasn't.
it wasn't in homes. It wasn't, like
Yeah,
probably people who had internet, like
it was the
you're paying
military.
a pretty penny for it. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
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 Yeah. Um, yeah, that's crazy compared to
Hmm.
Kendrick Lamar. We have
I mean,
YouTube.
even Prince's performance was like in
Yeah.
the age of the internet.
Oh yeah, it was. Was
Yeah.
it the Inch? Yeah, it was.
Yes. Yes. Because I'm literally seeing his face right now, and
Mm-hmm.
I know by his look roughly what year it would have been. So it probably would have been like late 90s, early aughts when
Hmm.
he had his performance.
So, oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like I thought the Kendrick Lamar performance was really good in my opinion.
I
A
will
lot of
admit
people,
I haven't watched it
you haven't watched
because
it?
no, because I'm not gonna be in it as much as maybe people who are actually
Hmm.
listen to his music and whatever. So like
Yeah,
I'm not in the world of Kendrick Lamar.
yeah.
He's one that I just never really not
Resonate
that
too. Yeah,
not even so much that. I think it's just like I just never hopped on the Kendrick Lamar wagon. And it just got to the point where I'm like, "Oh, I'm not gonna be able to hop on now. So I'm just
yeah.
gonna like leave that be.
I,
Um, so I think like it's just for me, like I just didn't get
yeah.
into it.
I was always a Kendrick Lamar fan since his
Yeah, I know.
first EP, like Section 80, or 80, well, yeah, Section 80. 80 was his first EP that introduced me to Kendrick Lamar,
Mhm,
and ever since then, I've just been a fan, and yeah, yeah, he's a pretty good artist. He has a lot of messages in his music,
mhm.
which I can like relate.
Yeah.
He
I kind of did hear that like if it was like a storytelling
yeah.
type performance, like it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
like, oh, let me do the song, do the song, do the song. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
he's telling a story. So
Yeah.
yeah, that I can appreciate.
Yeah. Samuel Jackson was there too. Like he was
I heard.
yeah. Yeah. He
Yeah.
was there.
Which I mean, what did he do? Did he say it? Like what did he do?
No, he was basically Uncle Sam.
Oh, okay. Oh, like a black
Y-
Uncle Sam?
Yeah,
Okay.
basically. He was basically
What do
he
you
was
want,
yeah,
you?
yeah, he was, and then obviously Kendrick Lamar played his very, very famous hit from last year,
Hmm.
Not Like Not Like Us.
Hmm.
Yeah. That
And I
song.
kind of heard,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there's more, this is one person's interpretation,
Mhm.
but like maybe at one point he kind of looks at a camera in such a way where he's kind of like
Mhm.
Drake, like look at me kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
situation.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a
Okay.
meme.
Okay.
And that song has won like Grammy, like 5 Grammy awards. So
Hmm.
like that's crazy. But you can tell like not a lot of people were fans of the performance, like the hip hop community was like saying that it was like basically not good. And I'm thinking like
Mm.
it's just the vocal like Drake fans that think it's not good. And then you have
But
the
again,
Republic.
like
Yeah,
you
go ahead.
should be able to. I understand the whole beefing
Yeah,
and the rap wars and all that. And
yeah,
hey, listen, I'm all for a good beefing between rappers. Trust me.
yeah.
But doesn't mean one person is better than the other. Appreciate both of them.
Hmm.
Like they're doing it for the attention. That's what they do. You know,
Yeah,
whether
yeah,
I
yeah.
guarantee these two are actually friends. Like, come on.
No,
I don't know.
not
I'm just
really,
saying.
but yeah, not really, but
You have to read between the lines with stuff like this. Like we've seen it before
yeah, we've
where
seen it
there's
before,
been
but
beefing with other rappers and it's like, okay, but they're actually friends.
yeah, we'll
It comes
see.
out later that they're actually friends or
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least get along.
we'll see. We'll see in the future what happens between Kendrick and Drake.
But although I know Kendrick came out with some like
Yeah,
harsh like things
yeah,
to say about Drake,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
maybe
yeah,
not.
yeah. And then you got the general public who are fans of football,
Hmm.
uh, who are not into like hip hop music. They're just into like uh like country and rock and all that stuff. Like, the
Hmm.
NFL is more for like everybody. It's not for one
It's not
certain
just
like
one person, one type of person.
yeah, yeah.
And
Because like hip hop is more yeah. Go
that's
ahead.
the thing. It's like the halftime show, you're not going to always please everybody. Like
Yes.
me, I'm like, I don't care about the halftime show this year because
Mhm.
I'm not, I can't say I'm a Kendrick Lamar fan. So, like, I don't care as much. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going, like, I'm not going to watch it. I don't have to watch it. I can ignore it.
Yeah,
And it's been like that before as well, where it's like, I don't care about this halftime show, so I'm not going to watch it.
yeah.
This is the first time in a long time where I haven't watched the halftime show, but it's just, I'm like, you're not gonna always please everybody.
Mhm. Exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you have like, sorry people, but if
Mhm,
you have like,
mhm,
I don't know, some country singer up there that I don't know the name of or somebody,
mhm, mhm, mhm.
I'm just gonna be like, I'm not watching because I don't care,
Yeah.
you know? So not gonna please
Yeah.
everybody.
And then you have the tr the Republicans and, like,
Oh,
the
Jesus
Trumpers
Christ.
that were just
Who are
clowning.
racist.
Like, what happened to the good old days where,
Make America great
music
again.
music would meant something? What happened to U2 and also Linkin Park and all that I'm like, "Come on now."
First of all, number one, don't put Lincoln Park in your mouth because as we know, they're going through some
Mhm,
they lost their lead singer.
mhm,
So that's where Lincoln Park is right now.
right.
And I know I've heard rumors that they're potentially bringing on a new lead and the fans don't want it.
Yeah,
Um, so that's where that is. And again, quote unquote, good music means different things to different people.
yeah,
I may like to listen to, I don't know, Hall& and Oates or Michael Jackson or whatever, but I
mhm,
also like to listen to Lady Gaga or Drake or whatever. Like
right.
my wide range of what I like is what I like, but that doesn't mean you might like that. There are people who prefer to only listen to classical music. Whatever music is to you is what music is to you.
Right.
You
Yeah,
don't have to like what I like, and I don't have to like what you like.
exactly. So, like, yeah, I agree 100%. Overall, in my opinion, the performance was great. I got the message and, yeah, that's what I think about the performance. I think it was, like, top 4 for me. I
Mhm.
like you said, I love the Dr. Dre, uh, Eminem, um, uh, what's
Yeah, it
his
was Dr. Dre, Eminem,
yeah,
Snoop Dogg,
Snoop
Mary
Dogg,
J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar was there. Um,
50 Cent was right there too.
yeah, 50 Cent was there too.
Yeah. So that's it.
I need
And
to watch that again.
yeah. Everybody
So good.
everybody still watches that.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It was such a good performance.
Usher Usher was all right, I would say.
Sure
Usher
was.
was
Oh God,
he was all right.
I wanted more.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I was into it
Yeah.
because I love
Yeah.
Usher. I love
Yeah.
everything.
Mhm.
I know I think there was like one song that
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't know the song. But other than that, I was into all of it. I can't remember all the songs that he did, but I know
Yeah.
I think he did Caught Up. He
Yeah.
did, um, You Got It Bad. He did You Remind Me. He did it all. Okay.
Mhm.
And I'm into it because I love Usher. I love his
Yeah.
music,
And
but I wanted more.
you want yeah.
I wanted, there's an element missing.
Yeah. Did The Weeknd
He did.
yeah, he did
He did. It
he
was
did too. It
like
was a
6 or 7 years ago. He did.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Wow.
And then Beyonce did hers as well. I
I
thought
don't
Beyonce
remember
was
hers.
yeah, no.
Oh wait, isn't that when she brought on was she brought on or was that a Grammy performance? But there was one that she brought on the Destiny's Child girls
Yes, she
too.
did yeah, she brought
Was that
this. Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
then I did watch that.
yeah,
I
okay.
did watch that.
Yeah. It was aight. It wasn't
It
it was
wasn't like
yeah, it
anything to
wasn't
call home
yeah,
about, but when she brought
yeah.
on like
Mhm.
the the Destiny's Child girls, I'm like, yes, because like that's for me. Come
Yeah.
because I'm not in. I'm sorry. I'm
Mhm,
so sorry, everybody.
mhm.
I'm not in the Beyonce world like everybody else is.
Oh, no. Yeah.
I could care to um, but I was a huge Beyonce fan
Mhm.
with Destiny's Child when she first went solo
Right.
up until like I would say the mid 2010s. Like
Mm.
probably for me, Single Ladies was like the last bit for me. So that way,
Mm.
I was with her for a bit. Um, I could care less.
Yeah.
Um, but when you bring on Destiny's Child, I'm in. Because that's what I grew up listening to. I grew up with Destiny's Child, so
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. There's rumor that, Miley Cyrus might be in the next one.
Okay, okay. I will be there.
Rumor, so,
I
like,
heard rumors even for this one.
mm,
What did I hear?
There was rumors for Lil Wayne as well.
Oh
Lil
yeah,
Wayne was supposed to be there because it was in New Orleans, and people had, like, a lot of Lil Wayne fans and Young Money fans had a little fit online about it, how, Lil Wayne should have been there, and
because
also
is he from New
yeah.
Orleans?
Yes,
Okay.
and that's another group of fans that didn't like it as well.
Yeah, but they don't
Because
always do that. I mean, the only time they actually really did that
yeah,
was with Justin Timberlake when they were in Memphis because he is from Memphis. So
right.
that's really the only time they brought on an artist who is actually from the place where they're doing the um and yeah, was it in Memphis? Yeah, Memphis. They did it in
Yeah.
Memphis, I'm pretty sure. But
Yes.
he also did tribute to Prince in that performance as well.
Mm,
Um, because I think he had just passed away, like maybe the year before.
right.
But it was like that's the only time I can think of where they actually brought on a performer who's from the place that they're doing this. Because remember when they did that Justin Timberlake one, remember that kid?
Mhm,
Remember the kid that they did the meme of and he was like on his phone when Justin Timberlake
right.
like right there singing? Like yeah, like, it was funny. But anyways, it was just like
Yeah. I remember that.
yeah.
That was
I remember watching that being like, this kid is on his phone and Justin Timberlake is just right there. Like, what's happening?
That's crazy.
It was funny.
Wait,
But
yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I'd be down for Miley.
Okay. Alright. Um, yeah, 'cause the does not, charge a lot of these artists, they don't
No,
yeah, they
no,
don't
it's not. I don't even know if necessarily even pays them for the halftime show.
no,
I
they don't.
think it's whatever. I think is it Apple now or which or PepsiCo? It's PepsiCo now that I
Is
think
it?
runs the halftime show now. I
Oh,
think it's
okay.
PepsiCo.
Okay,
Um,
so
so it would be
it's not the
them.
NFL that
Mm-mm.
It's the sponsor that pays the artists, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty
That
sure.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that
And
makes
also come to think of it, I might have to bleep out because saying is actually against the law. Like you're not allowed to use the term.
really
Yeah, so I might have to bleep that out.
NFL championship. There we go.
There you go. We won't call it that thing that happens every year
Yeah,
around
that
February.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I learned
Okay.
that while watching Jersey Shore. Like, wait, you can't say that word.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. NFL championship. Uh,
but the other thing I do want to talk about very quickly, since
yeah,
we're
yeah,
on that topic, I
yeah,
usually watch the that thing commercials. But this year I didn't. But one of them that I did
yeah.
see that my mom actually pointed out to me, she's like, look, look, look. And I'm like, what? The kind of When Harry Met Sally commercial. Did you see that?
I didn't see. I haven't seen a lot of the commercials of that
Okay.
championship.
I had a moment
Of
because, first of all, number one,
yeah.
I love When Harry Met Sally. It's one of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie. Meg Ryan, Billy Crystal, all
Mm-hmm.
in. Love
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
They literally did a commercial of the scene in the diner where she's pretending to have a fake orgasm. Very famous scene. And and then you have a lady being like, I'll have what she's having. Yeah. They did the whole scene with Billy Crystal, which Billy Crystal's still kind of been in the scene a little bit here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's not surprising to see him in anything.
That's crazy.
But Meg Ryan, I have been saying for years, where is Meg Ryan? Where is she? Where did she go? Meg Ryan was like everywhere in like the 90s, maybe even 80s, 90s into the early aughts.
Mm-hmm.
Where is this woman?
I
And
know.
there she is in this commercial, and I'm like, "Oh my god, there she is." Like, that part for me, it was just that warm, gooey feeling of seeing her on the on TV again, and I'm like, "Oh my god."
Wow.
Um, so yeah, I thought that was great. So that's my little piece that I have to
Yeah.
add.
I think I saw one commercial and it was like the Snoop Dogg and Tom Brady talking about hate
Yeah,
and sentiment. Yeah.
anti-Semitic.
Yeah. That and it felt kind of like it was like, scripted. I don't understand like commercials like scripted. Don't get me
Oh
wrong.
yeah,
I
commercial.
don't understand 100%. But it didn't feel genuine and real in my opinion.
I
And
heard one of the podcasts that I listened to that kind of
yeah.
talked about the commercials. Um, and they also talked about Kendrick Lamar as well, but the
Yeah.
commercials, they had mentioned like we need to stop putting Tom Brady in commercials. Like, because like we need to stop. We need to stop. Because I
Is
mean,
that
he's
the
had his
yeah.
controversies, so let's
Yeah.
just stop.
It's the first time he's talked about something that's I have never seen Tom Brady talk about anything that's social issue wise. So it's like that was
So
the first
why
time.
would he now? Like, why couldn't he have
Yeah.
just done Snoop Dogg and call it a day?
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg is big enough that we don't need to add Tom Brady to the mix.
Mhm.
Snoop Dogg is Snoop Dogg. We don't need Tom Brady there as
Yeah.
well. Like he could have done that, or maybe have somebody else who is a person of color, maybe who could have, you know,
Yeah.
said something instead of this white guy that's never really talked about it before.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just
Mhm.
kind of weird. But anyway,
All right. So I almost forgot the number of the episode.
77.
So
Don't know how I
this
remembered that.
so this ends episode 77 of the Next Tape Podcast. The Next Tape Podcast is available now on all podcast platforms. We also have a website called what is it, Tanika?
Next take podcast.podpage.io. Link in the show notes.
And where else are we at, Tanika?
Facebook and Instagram at Next Take Podcast, and Twitter and TikTok at Next Take Pod.
And also you can contact an email at mikeltanika@gmail.com. That is Mikel, Tanyka at gmail.com.
So,
So we talked about 3 topics plus a bonus.
mhm.
Uh, do you want to talk about that, or do you want to?
We talked about the lawyer couple who
Mm,
um are embezzling money out of their
right,
firm.
right,
We talked about the woman with the
mm,
indigenous or Inuit status, I should
right,
say,
yeah,
for her
mm,
kids.
mm,
And what was the other topic?
yeah.
I
Uh,
can't remember.
yeah, that
Um,
is,
oh, we talked about autism,
yeah,
the early signs of in the brain.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. And then we just talked about that NFL championship game.
hmm
Like you
That
said, you
that
can't say,
that
yeah,
that game,
that
game that
that
happens every
game,
year.
that game was
That game that
crazy.
takes away my reality television. That game.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, that was it basically. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode on the Next Tape podcast. You have anything else to say, Tanika, or that's basically the gist of it?
I think that's the gist of it.
Okay, I'm Mikal, and
And I'm Tanyka.
we're out until
Probably Thursday.
Thursday. Okay,
Okay.
peace. Peace, guys.
Bye.